I have a few normie friends, as I've said before, and I haven't really spoken to any of them in great length about the assassination attempt. I spoke to one, and I'm anticipating talking to the other. And I guess when I say I have some, I'm talking about two. So, you know, for someone like me, friends are a premium. If you're a friend, then you're one of the few, the proud, or maybe I don't know how proud you are to be my friend, but you are one of the few. I don't make many friends, but anyway, uh, I just have come to this conclusion that it's really, really hard for some people. And it's not a question of intelligence, because these are smart people. These are people who have IQs probably bigger than mine. Um, uh, and who are probably more knowledgeable than me. But they just can't, it's a mental block. They can't bring themselves to say, uh, the government is, or the deep state is, or whatever you want to call it. The factions, powerful factions, are organizing to do things that are very bad and illegal, um, and that's this. I mean, to me, I mean, I guess I'm sort of a broken record myself on these kinds of things, because I don't know how you could go through something like 2020 and not think that the governmental, corporate, and media and medical establishments are full of shit and constantly lying to us, and that they certainly have an agenda that runs counter to our best interests. But there's still some normies who I guess sort of avoid feeling that way. Now, they still are sympathetic to my position in some ways, and they thought, yeah, boy, people went way overboard with that stuff, and uh, with the Baj. I need to start talking in code again, because YouTube is showing signs of being censorious again. Um, and the be safe, put this on your face, be safe, all that stuff. Um, so yeah, there was they evinced some sympathy to my perspective, but can't go to the point of saying this was an op. You know, put connecting the dots and saying this is an op. And it seems to me that the Trump shooting, it's even harder. Like that's just so. How do you look at that and not, and I have a previous video where I talk about this, the title of it is uh, the most reasonable, the most sensible explanation is a conspiracy. I also write about this on my Substack page. I think the title is, a list of sus things about the assassination attempt, and then another piece that I wrote called "It's Not That Difficult," um, where basically say you kind of have to stretch and strain to make it be something other than uh, a conspiracy, a high level conspiracy. Given that, and I'm not even saying this as, like a rah Trump kind of guy. And it doesn't even matter how many times I say that, right? Because people will still put you in that category. That's what they do. So whatever. Think of me however you want to. I am whatever you say I am. But you don't even have to feel any particular way about Trump to say, okay, first they tried to impeach him twice. Then they raided his house and his business. Then they came up with all of these bogus suits and criminal charges against him that most people who looked at this stuff objectively agreed was ridiculous. That these are not these should not be criminal. There should not be a criminal case brought for these charges. I'm not saying he's in his capacity as a billionaire that he's never done anything shady. I certainly wouldn't say that. But in any case, these charges that they came up with and that they indicted him with, it's obvious. It's obvious that they were what they were doing through all of that, and that they've been gunning for him forever. And then a couple weeks ago, earlier this month, they literally gunned for him. Like how do you not put the pieces together with everything else that the Secret Service behavior, the absolute lack of security for this event, how the shooter was allowed to show up wearing a backpack and had a drone. He ran a drone over the area. This is part of what they're admitting now. Nobody was supposed to be allowed to do that. And he brought a backpack in, and he was doing all kinds of strange and suspicious things even before he climbed that ladder and got up on the roof and was holding a gun, and they didn't do anything about that. Yeah, you could say you can take the incompetence argument only so far. But I just think that it's unfortunate, but it's true. Some people just have a mental lapse. I don't know if it's like and if we were living in some banana republic, or if we were living under some brutal African warlord, in Africa, then I think they wouldn't have this block anymore. Then it would be like, oh yeah, obviously that's what's going on. But there's something about like, oh, it's our government, it's our media, it's our, we don't do those kinds of things. Our government, yeah, they might be a bunch of scoundrels, and so on and so, and yeah, the media might be shit, yeah, the medical establishment was putting forth some notions and ideas that were completely irresponsible, even though the medical establishment doesn't really get involved in this case. But it's like, I think what it comes down to is, we don't do that kind of stuff doesn't happen in America. I think there's still this kind of bias, that we're not like that here, but we are. Okay. We've got no right to look down on any African warlord country, on any banana republic country, because we're just as bad as they are. We're just richer and, higher standard of living and more sophisticated. That's it, though. That's the only difference. You know, that's the only difference. Uh, as far as I see it. Now, I had one normie friend that I corresponded with a little bit on this, and he wrote, when I said, don't you think don't you think it's obvious that they were powerful people gunning for Trump, literally gunning for him after figuratively gunning for him for the last 4 years, for the last 8 years, really. And again, saying that doesn't mean you're a Trump supporter. It's just you observing reality and coming to conclusions about what you've seen. What his answer was, well, he didn't say well, because we were corresponding via email, so he didn't make any kind of skeptical noises with his mouth, but he did say, this variation of this axiom was something like, never ascribe to malice what could simply be ascribed to stupidity. And I said, well, why? Why is that axiomatic? Why is stupidity a better answer than malice? Okay, maybe if you're looking for the simplest or the most reasonable explanation for why somebody cut you off in traffic or something like that. They probably weren't being malicious. They probably just are a bad driver. That's fine. That kind of reasoning I can understand. But why, in a situation like the shooting, why say, oh well, I think let's not go overboard and say that this was an act of malice on the part of our rulers. It might have just been sheer stupidity on the part of the Secret Service, an organization that's supposed to be super hyper vigilant and ultra competent, and that suddenly looks like like a bunch of Cub Scouts. I mean, a bunch of Cub Scouts could have probably done a better job than they did. I mean, a bunch of Cub Scouts would have said, that guy on the roof has a gun, and would have done, they would have tried to do something about it. The Secret Service knew that he was on the roof. They knew he had a gun. They knew he was there. This is not even to talk about other shooters who were probably there. And didn't do anything about it until he fired, until a bunch of shots were fired, some of which probably came from the guy on the roof, some of which probably came from other places. In a situation like that, hell yeah, I ascribe malice, and it's part of, you see a pattern. It's part of a pattern. But I don't know. I mean, and again, I want to emphasize these are smart people that I'm talking about. So they're people who we're simpatico with. I'm simpatico with them largely when it comes to our perspective on the world. Aside from me noticing things about, official stories of various events, and them not noticing or being dubious of those who notice. But again, it's wild. It's kind of wild to me. It's frustrating, but it's also interesting. It's like if you can just isolate it and look at it objectively, it's just an interesting question. Why do smart people deny things that are obvious? You don't even have to be that smart. You just have to have common sense. You really you don't have to be that smart. That smart to be right and to see through the bullshit. You don't. You just have to see how one and one and one don't make five. That's all. It's basic mathematics, really. Or it's something similar to mathematics. But there's these axioms. This don't. It's 9 times out of 10, it's probably just stupidity rather than malice. I mean, I've heard, you know, those kinds of statements, those kinds of pronouncements before. And I wrote back my friend and said, why do you think that? Why does that hold to be true? Why is that axiomatic? Which was, I guess, a little bit confrontational, but I wasn't asking it in a supercharged, sort of hostile kind of way. And I haven't heard back. So, so I don't know if that's just an admission that I stumped him, or if he just had other things to do. He's a busy man. So anyway, just thought that I would file that observation, and interested to hear what anyone else out there has to say about it. Thanks for watching.